Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're doing quite lovely. If you're not, hopefully your day picks up, your night picks up, wherever you are around the world. Weather is starting to get pretty nice here in Texas. Got a beautiful 70s and 80 degree week ahead of me. I cannot wait to get out into the garden and get some of those first plants into the ground for the season. Anyway, but that's just me being the nerdy green thumb that I am this time of the year. But today we've got to talk about space. Finally have it all done and ready to go. And boy, it has been a busy last 30 days. Come back from the Christmas break as a teacher and things just go kaboom. And being a coach of two different sports, of running and basketball, like it is time consuming. I'm glad that things are starting to slow down though, as basketball season comes to a close. But anyway, so back to space. Let's do some spacey space stuff. So we have seen Lego space theme kicked into multiple different themes this year. We've seen it in Friends. We've seen it in Lego Dreams. Technic has thrown some stuff out there. My God, I wouldn't be surprised if Ninjago throws stuff out there. Maybe later in the year. Who knows? Anyway, Lego City. It fits perfect. It's Kismet. So first up today, we have the Space Construction Mech 60428. Retails for $11 and €10. Not too bad, 140 pieces. This is my wheelhouse. Lego has really killed it with these mini mechs. Ninjago mechs have been really well done, and they have really kind of kicked into a whole different gear in their own right with that. However, we saw the mini mechs with Ninjago. We saw some of the mini mechs with Lego Dreams. Now, if only we could get some with Lego Friends, that would be pretty cool. Anyway, so this little guy, he is a construction mech. However, it doesn't really feel like a construction mech in this sense with this build, because I don't really know what he is supposed to be constructing. But I will tell you, really nice little build. So let's start off with the mech itself. What we've got here, you've got the little mini ball joints that they use, just for the flexibility and stuff like that. Because again, mini mech, you don't need those big, thick, rigid ball joints anywhere on this thing. So you do have some rotation here on the feet, the big old chunky feet that they have going on here. And then you have a little bit of swivel to the front and to the rear. So, I mean, that isn't super important with a mech of this size, because you're not really getting it into any wild, crazy poses. So that's a good thing. But anyway, we've got what feels like, when you talk about like construction, at least here in the United States, a lot of orange is associated with construction, and like construction vests and stuff like that for safety and traffic cones and barrels. And you have the toes of the feet of this thing. Well, I say toes, it's not a toe, but they have a half round tile here. So that is in orange. So those are important little details, construction theme, I guess. Maybe I'm just completely losing my mind. So there are no knees. Obviously, you kind of have like an ankle/knee joint here, all in one. But you do have the hips here and the hip joint here. Again, tiny little ball joints, good flex outward. Not a whole lot to be able to move forward and backward. Enough for what you need, but you don't really need a ton of flex here. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, moving up to the shoulders. What we have on the shoulders, the small ball joints again. We don't have any wrist flex here, and there really doesn't need to be any wrist flex. There's just no purpose in it for the tools that you have. So you have a grabber claw that has two little pincers. It looks more like a crab claw, and then you have this little hammer device in this sand blue color. I love this thing, but The idea behind it is to be able to smash this little sub-assembly that has these little crystals and then, pick them up and that kind of thing. So when it says construction mech, I'm kind of like, well, this isn't really construction whatsoever. But hey, whatever. But anyway, your compartment I say compartment, you really just get a roll cage for your little guy, your little minifig here. And he comes in his standard little space garb that we're going to see throughout this wave. I'm not going to get too much into it, but they really did a good job with the spacesuits this year. Much better than I would have ever expected, honestly. And the last thing that you have here is you have your little exploration robot or whatever. I guess it's a little exploration robot, whatever you want to call him. And he's got two little drill hands on him, and, you can drill and take a sample and move on, whatever. It doesn't really honestly matter all that much, but it's a nice little extra feature to be able to have in something like this, to be able to, for a kid to be able to play with something even more than just your simple little mech and whatnot. So then we move on to the next one here. The Spaceship and Asteroid Discovery 60429 has 126 pieces. I know. But again, a big chunky plastic for this kind of age group. And it retails for $20 and 20 euros. Now, I was a fan of the way that this was done for a simple spaceship. We've seen something done like this in the past. I want to say maybe 3 years ago-ish, somewhere around there. Simple, felt almost like a classic style spaceship. Not classic in the sense of like classic space back from the 70s, 80s, but more of just what you would expect of maybe not ultra modern futuristic, but just kind of classic space ship. I did really not do a good job of explaining that at all. Anyway, so here's what you get. You get inside of here, your spaceship. You get your two little set pieces here, which kind of has like your little moon lab that you've got going on, moon lab, space lab, wherever you want to consider yourself at, whatever planet, whatever fictitious or real planet. Anyway. And then you have your area where you can move around rocks that you can put crystals inside because, you're getting them out. And then this is our first opportunity to see one of our new aliens that we get in this wave, which I love the aliens. I'm glad they really stepped it up in that regard and really just kind of decided, you know what, we're really going to go with it and we're going to let it rock. So we're going to get the little stuff out of the way and then we'll talk about the ship. So this is a 4+ set. I forgot to mention. So it is a 4+ set. Again, big chunky plastic. Therefore, you're going to have big chunky things. Your little set piece that you have here of your lab, you have these crystals. All of these little crystals, these glittery purple crystals. And what you are doing is you are essentially from the little screen that you have built here is you're essentially taking the crystals and creating energy into a battery is what it's telling you it's doing. I don't know if that's it or not. I mean, obviously that's what they're saying it could do, but as a kid, you're going to do something way wild and crazy and completely different and all that kind of stuff. However, it's a cool little idea. You do have some tools that come with this thing. You do have a little jackhammer. You do have your little beach scanner, your little metal detector that they have going on. So you do have those, or have one of those, I should say. And then you have your other little set piece here that has this little space crane that you can operate from the ground. And then it can lift your little moon rock boulders or whatever kind of, like I said, whatever planet you want to be on. And those can just open. Those are your standard 2-piece boulders. And you just hook onto them and move them around, take your crystals out. Maybe you just want to pretend, again, jackhammer, you can jackhammer them out. Or, you just maybe pretend that you drop it from a high elevation and it just cracks open. The crane is very simple. A few click joints here and your hook, which can swivel around because it is on a ball joint. And that's pretty much it. But I like the fact that you get a number of crystals that really works well for me in play feature. And I guess I shouldn't say play feature so much, but just the idea behind it. So then we move on to our little buddy here. And he's not really a play feature or a play set kind of thing, but you're a little, he looks like Blob from Dreams from the Dream sets, just a chunkier, fatter one here. And he has that four-leafed leaf piece that it has 4 studs. There's 4 studs that are on top. So it's a 2x2 round, essentially. I believe we first saw these with Mario, if I'm not mistaken, these flower pieces, when Mario came out a number of years ago. I think it was, 4 years ago? God, was it 5? It couldn't have been 5 years ago. Anyway, so you do have him. And your astronauts, you have a light bluish colored astronaut and a green astronaut. The new helmets, I believe these are newer-ish for this year. I don't think they're brand new, though. Maybe the colors. But their suits are identical other than the colors of their arms, I mean, and their headgear. But the white with the gray and the blue I really like, and then you have the classic space logo, which is also a solid win in my opinion. So your ship. You do have a compartment in your ship, and here's the other thing. As this wave goes along, as we get through this, what you're going to realize is all of these things are powered by batteries. And your batteries, obviously, in this case, you are charging your batteries from these crystals that are found. As we get to some of the bigger vehicles, you're going to notice they're going to be charging little ports that have the little 1x1 round bricks, the trans color, the purplish color. And they have a little 1x2 on top that has the battery logo and then logo, I guess, a charging battery like you see when you plug in an iPhone or an Android or whatever, any kind of phone these days you plug in and it has a little charging battery symbol. That is essentially what you have here on that tile above that. So you just put this little assembly on all of these vehicles because that is what your vehicles are running on. And in this case, this little guy is running on there as well. So the last few things here, you have your little front display for your cockpit display here, your heads up display, I guess you could call it, inside of your little cabin here. You've got your area where you can put your battery, you can put your crystals, and then obviously the canopy opens and closes a clear color, which is really nice. And the thing is, like I had mentioned, big chunky plastic. This thing is big chunky plastic. Essentially the entire sub-assembly of this is one giant piece. And again, it is intended to be that way for little kids to be able to put together, the age of 4 and above. Now, some kids that are the age of 4 are incredibly talented builders and could probably build a spaceship better than this just because of the way their brains work. It's wild to me how some kids just see things and they just run with it. So crazy. Anyway, so it's a cool little set, nice little build. One of those that I thought, okay, is this the coolest? No, it's not the coolest, but it is pretty good. So then we move on to what is my favorite spaceship, the Interstellar spaceship. And it has nothing to do with the movie Interstellar, but it feels like it should. 60430 is the set number. Retails for $20 as well, and 20 euros, 240 pieces. So you are pretty much doubling the pieces here because it's not a 4+ set. And this thing is sleek. It's beautiful. It's pretty. It looks aerodynamic as all get out. And it's just a fun little build. This is meant to get you from point A to point B as fast as you can in space. So the ship itself, I'm such a fan in the way that this ship is done. It's sleek. The build process of this it is simple. It is very simple. It feels like you're almost building like a speed champions type car. Some of the pieces are a little bit bigger, yes, but that's what it feels like. And there was something about going through the process of this where I was like, this is just a lot of fun. Now, Lego building should be fun. Yes, 100% it should be fun. However, there are times where you're just kind of like, okay, this is kind of tedious and monotonous, and we're just seeing the same old thing, and it's nothing new. It's not that fun, but there was just something different about this. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first thing that you notice with this is, again, the sleek design, the fun build of this, but what Lego has really done with a lot of their city stuff recently, I want to say over the last year, is they've kind of gone away from stickers for the most part, and everything is essentially become a print. Everything on here is printed. Everything. Your heads-up display, your HUD, like it was in the other one, and I totally forgot to mention that. The two side intake panels here, those are printed. Your little battery label, I believe I said was printed. I don't remember if I said it was printed or not. The little 1x2 on the last set that we were talking about. And then your logos, all your classic space logos on the 2x2 tile are going to be printed across the wave, which is great. This thing, though, has some wonky looking, what look like flaps, and they kind of look like flaps. They're not wings. And what they do is they flip up. They could essentially be speed brakes, is what they look like as a pilot simulator, flyer person, whatever you want to call it, digital pilot. Those are flaps. Those are speed brakes. I got to slow this craft down. There also appear to be what look like, at first glance, in the rear, more flaps. Those are not. If you've ever seen a jet engine, and I don't know so much about space, but any kind of aircraft engine, especially ones that kick into like an afterburner, I'm thinking of the aircraft that I used to work on, the F-A-18. When the engine expands in the rear when you kick into afterburner. And so what happens here is you have these little sections. You have two on the side and one on the top, and it opens. You can open these up, and it looks like the engine is expanding because you are adding more thrust. It's incredible. They just used the trans orange pieces in here, but it looks so stinking good in the way that it is done. If you just want to kind of cruise, you're just kind of cruising, you don't need it. But if you want to mash that throttle, you get that feel. And it's really well done. Like I said, this is by far my favorite in the wave, without a doubt. So there is that. The ship also does have the little battery source, of course, that everybody is using. You've got your darkened trans windscreen here, narrower than the last one because it's meant to be a more sleek aircraft, and the other one was a 4+ set, so you had the big chunky plastic. You do have your heads-up display, although it's kind of difficult to use because your pilot is laid way back. Obviously, it has to be the case when you're talking about something as sleek as this. Not a whole lot of room to really sit a minifig upright, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. No weird gimmicky features or anything like that here. You just got your aircraft, but you do get this little. He looks like a little drone or like a probe. When I say probe, I mean something that you send to a distant planet and it lands and maybe takes images or whatever, or just flies around it in its gravity before it eventually crashes. That's what this thing feels like. It's got a little battery pack on it. It's got two little wings. What looks like it's supposed to be some kind of intelligent eye on this in the front, but it can be used as that, or it can be used as a flyer. In this case, it can be used as a flyer with your minifig, because in the wave, you will see this as we go through. These new minifigs, new piece that's created to be able to attach this flyer to it, or attach this probe to it so that it becomes a flyer. So now your little space guy can fly around and do his job, whatever. The only problem is there is no place to put this flyer, this probe, anywhere on your ship. It doesn't come attached to the ship, I guess I should say. Maybe you could modify it. Maybe you could, figure out your own little way of doing it. I used to do that as a kid. Like, I need to find a way to put my shovel on my tractor. Well, Lego's done a really good job of that recently. This time, not really so, but you could always stick it somewhere on a wing or hang it somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, your minifig here, your minifig that you get your little blue guy here, blue guy, dark blue arms in this case. He's got the kind of standard get up as the rest of them do, with the gold and the silver and then darker blue in this case. And then he's got his little backpack flyer thing that has a single stud, which allows you to clip on the flyer onto the back of this guy and do his thing, which is always a positive thing. So I will say, without a doubt, this is by far my favorite of the wave thus far. Well, I should say of all the aircraft, this has been my favorite. Was my favorite to build, was my favorite to mess around with and play with. It's honestly just a lot of fun. So next up, we have the Space Explorer Rover and Alien Life. We get some more aliens here. 60431 is the set number, has 311 pieces, retails for $35 and 30 euros. This thing, without a doubt, was such a fun little build. I literally, as I was going through the build, was saying, that is cool. That is cool. Look at this. This is awesome. There's just so much fun about this thing. It's a 6-wheeled vehicle. If you didn't know that, it does come, like I had mentioned, with some aliens, and you get two pilots, I guess you want to call them, explorers, astronauts, whatever you want to call them, space people, and then you get your aliens. So let's go ahead and talk about the aliens first, because they are so stinking cool. So your aliens have this little moon crater. I'm just going to say moon. You know, it could be any kind of planet or anywhere in the entire universe. However, we're going to just say this little moon crater. But you have this big octagonal plate that we have, standard fare here. And then you have these two little kind of built up craters, essentially. And down inside, oh boy, I just lost one of the aliens. They just sit down in here. There's two of them. They have a 3-eyed minifig head. Man, I've got a Band-Aid on my one thumb, and I can't hold it because this thing keeps squirting out of my hand. Anyway, so you have a 3-eyed guy. He looks peaceful because he's smiling. Has some green dots on the back. These are lime green in color, by the way, these minifig heads. And he sits atop of a piece that we usually see in underwater type builds and stuff. I believe, I don't know when they were first introduced, but I definitely recall them being significant in the Avatar waves, Way of the Water wave. Anyway, so he essentially has 6 little tentacle type legs, and he just sits in there. Nothing really crazy about the build. And then you get a little crystal that is sitting next to them. And, you know, you're harvesting crystals. You need crystals. You just need them. So then we have this other little gadget. Like I said, you're going to see all these little rovers and stuff like that. All these little tiny builds. And this one, again, has the 1x1 round trans iridescence brick on it with the 1x1 round printed battery tile, which is nice. And it's just got 4 simulated little wheels. They don't turn or anything like that, but it does go in the back of the vehicle, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. Your two pilots. They, I keep calling them pilots. I don't know why. Every time I think of space, I just think of, you know, everybody's a pilot. Nobody is anything else. Nobody's a flight officer or anything. Oh my God. Anyway, so your 2 minifig space characters here. You get the one little dude here. He's wearing the lighter blue suit. He's got that little backpack on that we talked about. That new accessory that is coming, I guess is like a little personal booster or whatever when they moonwalk and stuff. This guy comes with a little, I guess it may be like a rangefinder type idea. Some kind of binocular looking deal. I believe these were done in Star Wars, I believe was where this piece first showed up. Then we move on to our other little guy here. This young lady, different kind of helmet than the other one. The other one has more of the space walking big, well, no, they are the same. They just have different shields on. My bad. They have different shields on. She has a shorter shield. He has the big standard kind of astronaut shield on it. Anyway, so she is in green here. This time she's got a big chunky white camera, which is really kind of feels spacey, you know, very monochromatic type pieces in space. I don't mean from Lego City Space. I mean, just in the space program here, it feels like in general, everything is monochromatic. And then she has a little vest type piece on the back that has 4 studs. And we have a 1x2 tile here that's got some, what looks like honeycomb. I believe it's supposed to be some kind of solar panel. And then we have another modified 1x2 plate that has a clip on it. So you have that. The cool thing about this vehicle, other than the fact that it has 6 wheels, is it has independent suspension. And what I mean by that is the left and the right front are on spring-loaded joints. They actually have springs here, which is incredible. And you can go over different things, and the wheels are going to move at a different angle. The other two sets of wheels in the rear are independent from each other as well. The left and the right are independent of one another. And then even so much as there's ever so much flex on the rear. So what happens is it basically has a center point where it hinges at. And when you go over something, it's going over my hand right now, it just goes over completely different. Every single wheel stays in contact. Obviously, depending on what you're going over, if you're trying to go over your dog's head and your dog weighs, 125 pounds, probably not going to have every single wheel in contact at the same time. However, super cool suspension. They use the big orange steering wheel piece. When I mean the big steering wheel piece, I mean something that you would see on Icons, you would see on Technic. As the inside of the wheel here, these big black wheels, and then there's a little white disc on top of that to give it some color, to give you an idea of the color scheme of it a little bit. Black, orange, and white is everything about this thing. On the outside, we have two little battery sections here that gives you your juice for this vehicle to roam about. We have a little antenna on one side where they use the little fencing sword that is clipped into place over here. On the inside for your individuals on the inside, your controls are done by a modified 1x1 tile that has the little tiny bar that sticks up. We usually see that on top of like ketchup or mustard on like Lego City vendor cars, vehicles, vans, whatever. Anyway, same heads-up display piece in here. 2 spots for minifigs, which is nice. That entire cockpit windshield piece does come off to give you access. That gives you access to one of the minifigs inside. On that piece, on the top, you have some lights that are there. You actually have one looks like supposed to be a spotlight, but you could actually take that out and use it independently and give it to one of your minifigs as a single light. Then where your other minifig is, you have this section that can come off. It comes off very easily. It's not held on by more than a few studs. Has the printed Tile for Space logo on top. And then that also gives you access to the rear. So the very rear of this thing, there's a door that is in the back that you can open and be able to put your little drone dealio guy in it, or you can just put it in from the top. Doesn't really matter. You can get access both ways depending how tiny your fingers are. And there you go. There you have it. You've got it. It's done. It's pretty. It's awesome. It's fun to play with. It's everything that you need. It's everything that I needed. I did the 8-year-old thing. I did the 6-year-old thing. I went outside and I ran it across the ground, and I just wanted to see how, and this is one of those things that you can run back and forth, and have a bunch of fun with. This is one of those vehicles that I would have died for as a kid. And the reason being is you can run it over everything. You could take it to the beach and run it over the sand. You can take it to a rocky shoreline and run it over that. You could take it into the backyard if you just have a grassy backyard. You could take it to the dirt pile. You could take it in the snow. I just wish we got snow this year. All we had was a few little flurries, but you could take it to the snow. This vehicle can go anywhere and it would be fun. Now, I don't know, since the little spring hinges that are in here, the little springs in the front, I don't know how they work as far as rusting goes. I imagine over time, just like anything, if you leave it outside and it oxidizes from water and stuff like that, it's eventually going to, rust, oxidize. Maybe it would be a good thing to get a few extra of those for storage. Maybe they never see the light of day other than in the house, but it would still be nice to be able to have them just in case you run into the issue of, my kid ran this through the pool 50,000 times and the chlorine, whether it be saltwater chlorine or standard chlorine pools, just chewed it up alive. It might be a good idea to just keep that in the back of your head. Anyway, so that's going to wrap up part 1. Part 2 is going to be coming out tomorrow. So you can check that thing out. Let me know your thoughts. But this vehicle is exquisite. I have to say, I think it's well worth the money, and the play factor alone this is going to be a number one thing under somebody's Christmas tree in 2024. No doubt. There's going to be some kid, if he doesn't get it throughout the year because, maybe your birthday isn't until, October, or maybe your birthday was already and you just never, you couldn't get it, whatever. This is going to be a good one for a kid underneath a Christmas tree. So like I said, it'll wrap it up. Check out part 2. Until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.